didn't play, if he didn't play, wouldn't he have a better win percentage? Was
Make your browser safe.
We don't have much time left. Perhaps then they will reveal the path to hero's.
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go.
When you feel it's hopeless, when you think that you're lost, oh, I will take your hand and we'll rise up from the dust. Oh, here we go, go
roach infestation can happen overnight. Combat Roach Killing Bait stops the problem before it starts. Combat's a trusted leader in roach bait, killing roaches till the last one's dead. Available at stores near you. Defend your home with Combat.
He triggered you, he knew we would get free coaching. If that's true, that's really manipulative, man. You should feel bad. I'm gonna be stoic next time. Next time I'll be like, sorry, coaching is $25 an hour. Yes, you are right. That must have been a frustrating experience for you to lose the game in such a manner. Maybe there were not ways for you to win. Good luck in your journey to try and discover it. If there is a way to win, there is a way for me to coach you, but it will be $25 an hour paid up front due to no track record with you being reliable and forthcoming with payments. If you're interested, deposit the down payment here, and then of course I'm not going to give him coaching. It's 25, it's free real estate. That's way too little, should be 100, if I was actually going to give it to him.
I don't know half of you half as well as I should like, and I like less than half of you half as well as you deserve.
I thought it was Lishan. Serayu. Nanda. XDD scam, but only because he's elf. Hey, thank you for the sub. I'm a tree, water me. Flying Moose, just Gabe. Last game, guys. Better be good. Except if we lose, I'll play one more then. My chat just broke. Now don't go praying for a lose now. Did I wish JOHF? Yeah. Wonder if he's gonna go bottom first. His build actually got buffed a lot. Owl first. Okay. Smirk, smirk. Owl first? It's definitely mass hunts, right? It's ridiculous.
It's time for you to get your reading super powered. So stop straining your eyes and start listening.
Yes, Lord. Yes, what you want, Doctor? What task is there? Hey, taste of my blade. Yes. Yo. What you want, Tabu? Yes, Lord. Excellent choice, Tabu. I am your master. Oh. Are you hero and obey? Hey, are you hero and obey?
Owl first. Come on, man.
Excellent choice. Yes, yes. Wait, master. Yes, Lord. Excellent choice. What task is there? Yes.
How many
I am yours.
hoodwink is he gonna send on me?
Oh. Yes, Lord. Yes. Oh. Excellent choice. Yes. Be happy to. What task is there? Master. I am yours. Master. Yes, complete. What task is there? Wait. Yes, Lord. I am yours. Oh, what task is there? I am yours. Yes. Oh.
This can't be good, guys. Come on.
Wait. Are you here and obey? Yes, yes, Lord. Excellent you want. Yes, Lord. Doctor, Zugzug, Doctor. What task is there? What you want? am yours. Master? Tugsub, Dabu. Mobu, Loktar. Yes? Mobu, Tugsub, Loktar. Dabu, Loktar. Oh, what task is there? Are you hero and obey? Yes, excellent choice. Master? Yes? I am yours. My life. What do you want? What do you want? Yes, Lord. We're under attack. Yes, Lord. Good task is there. Mobu, Tugsub. I am yours. Loktar. Tugsub, Dabu. Oh, Master? Oh, yes? Yes, Lord. Hey, what do you want? Hey, excellent. Hey, are you hero and obey? Yes? Huh? I am yours. Yes. What do you want? Yes? Something needs doing. What task is there? Are you hero and obey? I am yours. What do you want? Haste to my blade. Yes, Lord. Yes. Yes. Oh. What task is there? Haste to my blade. Excellent choice. Are you hero and obey? Excellent choice.
Oh, I thought it was gonna be, I was gonna be able to get away. Shouldn't have wasted the scroll. That cancel was worth the death, by the way. It's probably gonna Ancient of War creep. If I did heal solves in between
We're under attack.
shots, I would also survive. I looked at my health. I thought I was gonna survive. He had Ring of Protection +3, which I remember. And I had 21 life.
I am yours. What task is there? Haste to my blade. What do you want? Yes, Lord. Yes. Yes. Are you hero and obey? Excellent complete. Yes. Oh. Yes, Lord. I am yours. We're under attack. Excellent. Oh, my call. Yes, Lord. I am yours. Yes, Lord. Yes. What do you want? What task is there? Yes. What task is there? Oh. Oh, my ancestors. What do you want? Yes, Lord. We need more gold. I am yours. Wait. I stand ready. Storm, earth, fire. My time is killing. Oh. What task is there? I am yours. Yes, Lord. What task is there? We need more gold. We need more gold. How can I help? I am yours. Yes, Lord. I am yours. What task is there? Oh. Are you hero and obey? Yes, Lord. Yes. What task is there? Yes, Lord. Excellent choice. Are you hero and obey? Yes. Oh. I am yours. Work complete. I am yours. What task is there? Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. Are you hero and obey? Research. What task is there? Excellent choice. Research. Yes. Yes. Excellent. We're under attack. How can I help? I am yours. Yes, Lord. I am yours. Yes. Oh. What task is there? Yes. What task is there? Are you hero and obey? I am yours. Yes. Direct.
Lost my dust.
Research to reach. How can I help? Oh, yes. I'll get to the house. I am yours. Yes, Lord. Yes. Oh. What task is there? I help. Direct. Yes, Lord. What task is there? Oh. What do you want? What do you want? Time task is there. All the time. I am yours. Haste my blade.
The lance.
Task is there. Yes, Lord. Yes, how can I help? Yes, Lord. Honor, guide me.
Thinking about going solar, but not sure whether it's worth it for your home? Well, before you get quotes, there are 3 things you need to know about going solar and why.
None shall pass. Task is there. Yes. I am yours. Yes. For my ancestors. Oh, how can I help? I am yours.
I know things
Are
are
you
great.
hero and
Yet
me?
all that is
Excellent
left is
choice.
to take the
Yes,
master's
yes.
blessing.
What task is there?
What would you ask of me?
Oh, yes. I am yours.
Ready.
What task is there? Yes, Lord. Oh, how can I help? Yes, Lord. I am yours. Yes, War Chief. What task is there? Right away.
Man.
Research done. Oh, direct. What do you want? Double.
I stand.
Yes. What do you want? I am yours. What do you want? Yes, Lord. We're under attack. Right away. Yes, Lord. Some. Lord. Fire. How can I help? Understood. What task is there? What do you want? Double. Yes, Lord. We're under attack.
Man.
I am yours. Yes, yes, Lord. Done. I am yours, Lord Chief. Build my tower. Yes, Master. Oh, yes. What do you want? No talk. War no more. Yes, Lord. What task is there? How can I help? Oh, man. I am yours. What task is there? Yes, I will hear and obey. Excellent choice.
I stand ready.
Oh, haste to my blade. I am yours. Yes, Lord. Yes, excellent choice. All the time. We need more gold. We're under attack. Yes, Lord.
You ask of me.
Direct. I am yours.
Little blunder. Small little blunder.
And obey. My life. As our hero, I am yours. What task is there? Lord Chief.
Oh, you're here too?
Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord.
Small little blunder.
Direct me. What task is there? I am yours. How I am yours.
Man.
What task is there? Yes. What do you want? Oh. Yes, Lord. Direct me. Man. Can I help you? Oh, my ancestors. I am yours.
I stand ready.
Master, no talk. What task is there? We need more gold.
Would you ask of me?
Yes, Lord. Oh. Hey. I am yours. Work complete. What task is there? Yes, Lord. Oh. What task is there? I am yours.
I think that gave him too many levels, and he's probably farming the red spot. I was winning anyway. I was winning, not anyway. I was winning, and then I wasn't because of that.
Tidy Cat's Bahama Sunset. A tropical escape from odors.
What task is there?
I stand ready.
Feel the ground tremble. Yes. My right door boil fire. Heed my call. Can I help? We're under attack. Lord Chief. Over. Doktar. Double type killing. Direct. For my answer wise. Yes, Lord Chief. Yes. Right away. On our side, what you want? Yes. Direct, sir. Done. Yes, Lord Chief. Understood. How can I help? What you want? A wise plan. Yes, right away. Done. Directly. Yes, Chief. For my ancestors, yes. Ask of me. And how can I help?
If I didn't make a couple of mistakes, I think this is good. I had a very cost-efficient army. I just needed to micro better. Oh, wait, I remember. It's the Tree of Life.
We have a
Okay, I need
problem
one more.
then.
Wasn't it winnable? No, it was not. The Tree of Life. I left the Tree of Life alive with like 1 life. Should have been the Tree of No Life. Owl meta is real. Yep. Losing to Owl first. No, I know. I lost to expansion and then I didn't kill it. I shockwaved the wisps. If I shockwave the tree, it would even be better. It would be dead. It's so funny.
Something you're doing? Yes. What do you want? Yes. Happy to. Ready to work. Something you're doing?
Farside first. Yes! Farside first. Good.
What do you want?
Actually, if he goes bottom first again, I can just play Shadow first.
Yes. Ready to work. You want? Okie dokie. Yes. Something you're doing?
Kinda like it. Got a ranged attack to hit him back. Shadow Pit Lord.
What do you want?
Think it's very good.
What do you want? Work, work. Something you're doing? Something you're doing? What do you want? Be happy to. Yes, yes. What do you want? Something you're doing? Ready to work. What do you want?
Farsight rank 3 is surprisingly strong. Yeah, it's very good. Farsight rank 3 is very good. What if I stay tier 1? Would that be good? Mass Grunts and Headhunters tier 1? Probably not. Probably not. Yo, thanks for the sub, Alice Sleep, Lebre, Creeperino. No, don't do it, Grubby. Okay, I won't. 20-year fan reporting. Thanks, B. Verbanger. Owl first makes you think you're ahead, don't fall for a bot. I didn't think that. I knew it was going to be hard. Anytime they make an expansion, it's going to be hard. But I thought I was handling it until I wasn't, you know?
Work complete. Master. What do you want? Direct my blade. We need more gold.
be my next victim. We be Shaman. Use my power.
What you want? Some. Huh?
Use my power. I pity the fool.
My life is a
Yaman.
reward.
Die.
Master?
There are enemies hiding. Direct my blade. Save the body. Die. You are killed fast. You be my next victim. Use my shield.
What you want?
There are enemies.
What you want? Time?
Direct my blade.
Yes, Shaman. What you want? Time? Work complete. Come away. Master?
I come on the evil
What do you want, Master?
I kill fast. There are enemies hiding.
Yes.
I kill fast.
Yes.
You be my next victim. Use my power. Direct my blade. Use my power. There are enemies hiding. Direct my blade. Yaman. You be my next victim.
Master?
I kill fast. Direct my blade.
Pitiful.
You failed. Faster. Use my power.
What do you want? Master?
There are
Yes. Abu.
hiding.
Tremble before what you want? Time? We're under attack. No time. Yes. Master?
We be Shaman.
We're complete.
The next victim. Move faster. Right.
When you will. Can't build there.
There are enemies be hiding. Killing be easy.
Research complete. What you want?
Use my power.
Tremble
Direct my
before
blade. Yaman.
Ready to ride. Something to do.
Direct my blade.
What is your feeble
Use
request?
my power.
What you want? What trickery
Be
is
my
this?
next
Yes,
victim.
Chieftain Master.
There are enemies be hiding.
Someone calling it up. Ready to work.
Be my next victim. Use my power. We be Shaman. Die. Need be that.
Research complete.
There are enemies. Direct my power. Direct my blade. You seek me help?
Something is doing.
You be my next victim. We are enemies hiding. We are enemies.
When developing CryoGlow, our Shark product developers worked with dermatologists, scientists, and estheticians to develop a highly effective skincare solution. IQLED technology gives the user an effective dose for
Oh, what the
skincare
fuck?
journey.
Oh,
Tough
fuck.
weeds taking over? There's a better way. Roundup's exclusive formulas, designed specifically for homeowners, target weeds to the root, delivering fast, visible results you can rely on. So you can rest comfortably knowing your outdoor spaces are safeguarded from unwanted weeds. Count on the #1 brand in weed control. The Roundup brand. Trusted for over 40 years.
Ideal pulse. Give him some freebies to make the rest of the game more interesting.
Yes. Don't waste my time. We're under attack. What trickery is this? Ready to ride. Master, tremble before me. I went in the face of danger. What
threatening me? You seek me help? How may I serve?
What the fuck? What?
Not waste my time. What you want? Pitiful. We're under attack. Yes, Sub. What is your feeble request? What a foolish surprise. What trickery is this? Inventory is full. Tremble before me. Use my power. Direct my blade. Huh? Who be my next What trickery is this? Who do I kill first? We are enemies united. You be my next big someone calling it up. Use my power. Direct my blade. I hear direct my blade. What is your feeble? We're under attack. How may I serve? You seek me help? I hear the summons. Waste my time. We are enemies. What? Direct my blade. What trickery is this? What a foolish blow. We are enemies. What, you seek me help? Use my power. How may I sweat? Direct my blade. Shaman. You be my next victim. What is your feeble request? Use my power. I hear the song. We are enemies. Who be my next victim? Don't waste my time. Tremble before me. What you seek me help? What trickery is this? I hear the summons. What do you want? What is your feeble request? What is your feeble request? Hiding. Vengeance will kill. You seek me help? Who be my next victim? Something to do with what one tremble before me. Research complete. What trickery is this? Power. Direct my blade. Tremble before me. I hear the summons. How may I serve? What is it? Who be my next victim? You seek me help? Use my power. Who do I kill? Someone call me the doctor? Use my power. Who do I kill? Hear the summons. Who be my next victim? We're under attack!
It matters late at night.
Hi, Alex. Nice to see you again.
Because sometimes that's when you need us most. Where you get your medicine matters.
Imagine getting surprised by an attack when you have witch doctors. I'm getting all the witch doctor duplicate items. Sentry, heal ward.
Use my power. Move faster. Direct my
GG. He's not gonna GG, by the way. Because he's gonna win. He heal scrolled for that. I should get boots on Pit Lord or something.
We're under attack!
That's cool. Nice style. Come on, Perch Brock. Perch Brock. Yeah. Oh my god, it purges the Perch Brock. This is the dumbest, slowest army I've ever had.
Right away. That be good choice, man. What trickery is this? Power. Who be my next victim? I hear the summon power. Direct my blade. Our town is under attack. What is your feeble request? What is something to do? Can't build there.
it goes. It goes. Making dinner.
Behind the glass, their world's so small.
뽑아달라는 사람이 있으면은 뽑아줄 생각이고.
자, 이렇게 C그룹까지 선택이 좀 끝났습니다.
토스나 테란 중에 뽑겠습니다.
한적으로 여기 지금 황병헌 선수가 지금 남아 있거든요.
최근에 생일이었는데 뭔가 오더라고요. 그래가지고
괴물이
또 오는 게 있는데 가는 게 없으면 안 되기 때문에 안 뽑을 거고요.
오, 제외하고
느낌이 불안합니다 오늘. 뇌물 하나 드릴 걸 그랬어요. 좀 싸하거든요. 선물 지금 보내줄게 카톡으로.
야!
좋아하는 동생으로서 내가 윤철이가 편한 대로 선택했으면 좋겠어.
야, 이게 여유가 있어요.
이런 얘기를 듣고 못 뽑죠? 얘기해봤자 미안하기만 하고 빨리 뽑는 게 나을 것 같아요.
유영진.
저걸 뽑길래 테라인 둘이 남더라고요. 선물 받았으니까. 받았는데 또 어떻게 그래요?
맞아요, 맞아요.
이건 선물
그렇죠.
때문이다.
지금 이야기 나누고 있어요. 누굴 뽑아도 그냥 죽음의 조다.
테라인이나 토스를 뽑으면은 사람이 A줄로 갈 것 같단 말이죠. 저그를 뽑아야 될 것 같긴 해요.
3명 남았습니다. 조일장, 이재동, 김명우.
제 1차 상대가 좀 빡셀 것 같아가지고 그게 좀 걸리고 저그 없는 조는 또 괜찮긴 해가지고 일장이가 괜찮다니까 일장이로 하면 될 것 같습니다.
야!
일장이가 괜찮다는데 굳이 싫다는 사람들 뽑지 말고 일장이 데려가면 좋을 것 같아요. 근데 영진이가 마음속에서는 테란을 뽑고 싶은 것 같은데 한번 도박해보는 것도 나쁘지 않지 않나. 테란 한번 뽑아봐라.
뽑아봐라. 승부수를 띄우게 될지. 오, 이정으로 먼저 뽑았어요.
D4에서 벗어났습니다.
야, D3.
강해지고 싶어서 뽑아왔습니다.
충격적이네요. 빨리 뽑혀도 좀 기분 좋아요.
둘 중에 한 명이 D4로 가거든요.
그래도 여기
김태경이 저를 뽑으면 민철이는 3저그조를 만들 가능성도 있어요. 태경 씨를 일장이랑 바꿀 수도 있습니다. 일단 저를 뽑아보는 것도 좋을 것 같아요. 그래서
명훈이 형이 엄청 잘해요. 비싸게 보내도 돼요, 명훈이 형. 항상 디폰 잘하는 사람들이 모여 있거든요. 저는 아직 거기에 낄 그게 아니라서 보면 인메시로 할만할 것 같아요.
한 명은 그룹 D로 가는데요. 김명훈.
그래도 누군가가 뽑았는데 D사까지는 처음인 것 같아요.
지명 완료가 좀 된 상황인데요.
원하는 사람 있으면 바꿔줄 의향은 있어.
거짓말 아니죠?
마음에 안 드는 저거 하나.
저거 한 명이 오거나 제가 저거랑 바뀌거나. 제가 먼저 좀 물어보기도 했어요. 나랑 바꾸는 건 어떻냐.
우승자의 권한 최종 선택. 자, 졸장을
떼고.
네?
자, 어디로 와? 이재호. 와, 뭐야? 승리. D4에서 우승자, 준우승자 출신 선수들이 준비한 죽음의 조가 됐습니다.
A조가 편할 수도 있는데 저그다 보니까 좀 불안한 것도 좀 있더라고요. 수가 있으면 좋지 않을까 해서 물어봤었는데
쟁쟁한
죽음의 조예요. 예.
정말 기가 막힌 선수들이
D조 예상했던 대로 됐고요. 어려운 조지만 열심히 준비해 보겠습니다.
Hello and welcome to Group D, the final group of the round of 16 of ASL Season 19, done in partnership with Hot 6. Stronger, better, clean energy. In yesterday's Group C, Queen and Rain succeeded in snatching up their tickets to the round of 8. Now, with just 2 tickets left on the line, let's have a word with our 4 players ahead of today's bout. Hi, good to see you. First up, seeded player Snow. Hi. Hi. You've been saying this group D is the hardest group that's ever been formed. Your shoulders must be feeling heavy as a seeded player going into this. How are you doing? Same old. This situation is a given. But, be it the group of death or not, as long as I do well, I can advance, so I'm not really paying it too much attention. Sounds to me Snow is ready to take on the responsibility. In any case, this is your second season in a row that you're going into as a seeded player, so with you being you, many people will be expecting you to survive this despite this being a group of death. This time though, the feeling I've got isn't good. I'll just see what happens and go with the flow. I'm curious what resolutions Snow's direct pick Rush is bringing to the table today. Hello. Hello. Rush, you wanted Group B or C, but just as the inkling you had, indeed, Group D is where you ended up. Having practiced, how would you rate this group in terms of difficulty? Top, mid, low? From my perspective, it's the absolute most difficult. However, having been dispatched to a tough group I then practiced harder, my skill has gone up. If I do my best today, I should be able to advance. It was apparent during the group selection, as right from the start you set your sights on light, that this season is one where you need to go through rigorous training. And with these 2 strong Protoss players in your group that you need to overcome, can I guess you've come here with some sort of a secret weapon prepared? Oh yeah, I have a few haymakers in the bag. Yeah, I prepared a lot of things. Can I ask which player you've got on your sights? In your sights? I practiced focusing on the first match. I'll make sure to win that one. Looking forward to it based on that answer. Let's greet Hero as well. Hi. Hi. You thought you would get to play comfortably in Group A, but with Sulky's decision, you have been placed in Group B. Let's hear how you prepared. For starters, seeing how these players are really good, I thought it would be interesting, and so practice was also equally entertaining. I'm actually excited getting to meet such good players in a tournament setting. Oh, this is very impressive. Hearing Hero say that the difficulty of this group, in contrast to what Snow said, is actually getting him excited. It must be because a round of 8 without Hero feels unfamiliar. Your nickname is Round of 8 Civil Servant. Are you likewise certain about your chances of making the round of 8 this time? Honestly, I don't think it'll be too easy, but I think that as long as I do well, I can advance. I'll try and advance. Somehow, someway, what I'm getting is a feeling of freedom and confidence. And playing against Hero in the first match will be Mini. Let's say hi to him. Hi. This group selection ceremony, in the end, you did not get picked by anyone and were relegated to D4. How did you feel at that point? The fact I didn't get picked at all means they think I'm the best, which isn't the case. Anyway, I just want to stay confident. Your first game would have almost been against Light, but your first opponent was changed to Hero. From the perspective of a Protoss player whose strong point is PvZ, just like yourself, you'll have a different feel about this group. I personally think the first map is a little better for PvZ rather than PvT. I think this is a better first opponent. Oh, preparing for Hero was easier than if you were to prepare for Light, you say. Okay. The players in this group are involved with each other in so many ways. There's so many things that need unraveling. A tremendous Group D has been formed. A group many dub as being the ultimate level of difficulty, and that is in part because the total number of times these guys made it into the finals, not the tournament itself, the finals, is 10 times. This is what kind of a group this is. Snow, Rush, and Hero each have 2 second-place finishes, while Mini has 1 championship and 3 second place finishes under his belt. This record perhaps contributes to this being called the Group of Death. I wanted to ask about how you guys personally feel about your chances of advancing in first place. Let's hear from Rush. My chances of advancing in first place? Yes. My goal for today is just making it out, not in first place specifically, and I see those chances of me advancing as 50%. Oh, that's actually pretty high. Is that perhaps of the first game and Snow clearly feeling threatened? Rush looks very confident ahead of this first match. He is pretty good. He is pretty good. However, today it's either first place or not at all. If I don't make it in first place, I won't be advancing. So yeah, it's do or die. A player with 2 grand final appearances, and yet he says having to go through the decider match in a group like this will be mentally impossible. And now the guy with a championship amongst us. Mini, what do you think of your chances? I think I'll be advancing in second place. For real? Yes, I want to beat Hero twice. Oh, does that mean you only prepared for the PVZ then? For starters, if Rush made it into the decider match, then that's good. So I only had to prepare a bit more for games against Hero. Hero, Mini just said he would beat you twice. What do you think about that? If I get got once, I think I might lose in the losers match as well. Oh, I see. Yeah, we're meeting, and we're only meeting once. In any case, I will win the first match. My goal is to advance in first place. The first game will be important. The first match being a best of 1, I'm sure you will both pour your heart and soul into it. Now, one more interesting thing about Group D is this I beat you, you beat me relationship. It's like going in circles. Snow is 5-1 against Mini on the ASL stage. Mini beat Rush to get his first championship run. Both times Rush made it into the finals, he beat Hero in the round of 4. And Hero, this needs no repeating, he is just the best Zerg at beating Protoss in the ASL. Hero is 9-2 against Snow and 7-3 against Mini. Is this circular relationship going to continue, or is the streak going to be broken today? This is one point to look out for. I wonder which player you guys feel the most reluctant about. Hero? This is all data from way back. Snow is doing really well nowadays, and Mini is a demanding opponent in tournaments. That's just a fact. They're both going to be tough. Hero feels apprehensive about ZVP, even though he's leading head-to-head. What about you, Snow? For me, I find the mirror demanding the PvP, even though I'm winning in statistics, but in the end it's 50-50. You can lose at any given time. In any other matchup, if I do well, I can win, but in PvP, even if I do well, I can still lose. It seems difficult. It sounds to me you guys are hoping to steer clear of Mini then. This being the group of death, regardless of what matches we end up with, it is sure to be quite entertaining. Let's hear our players' motivations to close things out. Snow, there's no turning back. I'm going all in. Can't wait. Rush, given how I prepared, I'll make sure to advance today. Good. I will advance with interesting matches. Looking forward to it. Mini, I too will do my best and show exciting games. Can't wait to see great games from the 4 of you. Thanks for the interview. You're watching ASL Season 19, done in partnership with Hot 6. Stronger, better, clean energy. As only 2 spots remain in the round of 8, which players will stay afloat and keep fighting in ASL Season 19? Let's start Group D of the round of 16 and find out.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Group D. This might be one of the craziest, most epic, hardest to predict ASL days out of the 19 seasons that we've had here.
Yeah, this is probably the strongest group really ever. I'm sure people will try to remember back to like the Action, Flash, Jadong, whoever group, but like honestly, this looks like a top 4. When's the last time that you saw Rush be the weakest player in a group? Is he the weakest player in the group? It's unbelievable. It's like Mini has been like the most consistent Protoss in ASL. Hero's been the most consistent Zerg. Rush has been the most consistent Terran. And Snow is the best non-ASL player that we have. Like, how else do you even put this? It's insane. Anything can happen here.
I think anything can happen. The game should be insane. I think this is, a lot of times
That's
in groups,
really
players
good.
will withhold strategies they might use in the round of 8, especially if they think they're favored to win the whole thing because they have to bring out their strongest stuff in the round of 8, round of 4, and finals. But I think for each of these 4 players in Group D, they have to bring their absolute best, as this very well may be the hardest group for each of these, or the hardest phase, I should say, of the tournament for each of these 4 players. They are going to be filling in these last 2 slots. Right now, we've only got 1 Terran. If Rush makes it, we've got 2. There's a realistic chance Rush doesn't make it. We could end up with 4 Zergs here. We could end up with 4 Protosses, actually, just depending on how this group goes down.
That's true. Yeah, I didn't even think of that. But yeah, the best would obviously be like a Protoss and Terran getting out.
Right.
I will tell you, if Hero doesn't get out, for me, that would probably be the biggest surprise, but not even that big a surprise because all 3 of these guys are of the same level as Hero. But I do put Hero as probably the 2nd strongest player in the world right now. Like, he is unbelievable. He's like just sulky -1, you know?
Exactly. Hero, from all the games I cast of him, I'm always ready to see him move on. It's very rare that you see him flounder in any game. He's got almost perfect play. But, I mean, in this group, it's going to be crazy, man. I also would very much welcome a PvP here with Snow and Mini to just kind of see what that would look like, where the state of that mirror matchup is when you have the 2 of the best Protosses of all time duking it out in a very pivotal group. I think the results could be anything. Any player could advance, any player could get knocked out. It's going to be brutal.
Yeah, and I do have to say, like, I really hope Rush makes it. 1 Terran in the round of 8 is rough. So yeah. I'm very much hoping that Rush can squeeze this one out. I think, obviously just for racial balance, if we get like Rush and Mini or Rush and Snow, that's going to be the best that we can really do at that point. But yeah, could be literally anything. It's the hardest thing to predict. If anyone thinks they know what's going to happen here, you're insane. Because it's just going to come down to what strategies they choose and who's really dialed in today. Because every one of these guys can kill each other.
Yeah. No matchup should be easy for one player. Like, each of these guys has to be doing a nod of respect to every opponent in every game here. So, I'm very, very eager to see what they're going to be bringing here. These matches today are going to have massive impact on how all the matchups are played on ladder. Well, almost all of them, not TVT and ZVZ, but a lot. I mean, everybody from every race is looking at this group and interested in seeing what the results are going to be. Sometimes we have a group, but it's like it's 3 Terrans and a Zerg, or even 4 of one race, in which case we just have one matchup. We had that yesterday. We had just one matchup for all of Group C. It was PvZ all the way through. A lot of fun if you're a student of that matchup. But each of these guys is basically at the forefront of their respective race in Group D. So a lot of people are going to be tuning in here to kind of see, get their finger on the pulse of what kind of build orders are going to be working on these maps, a lot of which are on the ladder now. It's going to be an exciting day, and we're going to open this up with Snow versus Rush.
Yeah, that's a ridiculously good match. Hard to say how that'll go. Rush definitely has some of the best Terran versus Protoss. There was definitely a time, like maybe a year and a half ago, where I'd be like, yeah, Snow's going to win this because he was at the highest win rate we've ever seen for professional Protoss versus Terran. But the whole metagame of the matchup has shifted because of his strength. Rush is very good at the matchup, and I think that this could be just a really nice, fun game. But Metropolis, it feels to me like it was made for Snow. He's a Reaver carrier guy. This is a Reaver carrier map.
Yeah, Snow will occasionally not go for carrier tech. He's done some, crazy alternative tech here, but you're basically right. I mean, he's more inclined to go Reaver than anybody else in the matchup. Looks like we're ready to get into this, guys. Starting the final group today in Group D, this is Snow versus Rush. Okay, in the bottom left here is Snow, and in the top left is Rush.
I want... oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I would just want to
please.
amend what I said there, because I've actually watched Metropolis a lot, and I've played Metropolis a lot. And, I mentioned Snow is a Reaver carrier guy. That is probably his strongest play, but I actually think right now in the metagame, this is the weakest carriers have been in a while.
Yeah.
So I do want to amend that I'm actually not entirely sure that carriers would be the best thing to do here. Like, if you get any sort of lead, carriers can be fantastic, but actually we've seen recently Terrans have gotten very good at pulling the trigger correctly against carriers, so they're a little bit out of meta. So I'm not like expecting that out of Snow, but if you look at the layout of the map, this is a map for many years that we would have called a carrier map. Carriers are not a big part of the metagame right at this moment.
And they may come back into style, and some of that's
Surely,
dependent on how the Terran is approaching the game, how aggressive do they want to be.
Yeah.
Or how greedy do they want to be, as an example. Snow, a lot of the games he goes carrier, he does it in a very safe fashion. It's basically just, the end game tech he's trying to build into, and usually take advantage of the positioning of the map. Arbiters, I think, this map has these very large mains, which means it's pretty hard to stop Arbiters from getting in there. Even if you were to fill the exterior perimeter of your base with turrets on one side, they could always try to go through the middle or go through another side. So it's tough to deal with. And there's a lot of space inside the main to fill up with mines.
That's
These
right.
smaller main bases, you kind of have enough turrets. You know where the units would recall in, and you have the mines placed there. Not saying it's necessarily going to be that, but it's something to watch for. Also, I think double robo play, which is basically the newest way to play this matchup, could be very strong here.
Sure. Because
you could probably start to mass drop their main and do stuff to the Terran before they're able to really get that ring of turrets entirely.
Yeah.
So, also double robo play, where you're going mass shuttles with speed and dropping, Templars with Storm and Reavers early on. That is one way to overcome a Terran that's going to rush up to one of these 12, 6, 3, 9 o'clock expansions and try to just like turtle up there.
Yeah.
A big mass unload there can be very strong. So we'll see. And, we might not even get into a late game situation on this map. This could be a short one, but I think for both you and I, Artosis, we've been pretty interested in seeing exactly how the very best players in the world try to approach this matchup on this map when it matters more than anything else in their careers.
Indeed. I have a lot of thoughts on that. I do want to just go over these builds real quick. It was kind of an interesting adjustment on a gasless expansion here from Rush. He actually scouted on 11, same time as he made the barracks. So that's a quicker scout than we normally see with this build order. So that's a little bit adjusted, but he's getting his command center super fast, and he found Snow first, which is huge for him because he recognized, okay, there's no Zealot being made. It's a tech opener. So Rush, like, right now, looking at it, it's a great opener for him. This looks fantastic, and he hid the SCV really well. Look at this. He gets to go into the main base. He's going to check. Range is on the way. Man, he's got so much information right now. But it looks like we're probably going to have a proxy robo here from Snow. So if I had to guess, this is going to be some range pressure on the front into a very quick Reaver drop.
Yeah, we don't see the technique of the SCV hidden behind mineral patches that expansions used ever.
Yeah.
It's like it's a little tactic that was figured out early on, and almost all players would just check behind their minerals for it. But I guess when you look at the way this map is shaped, there's enough space back there. People are probably worried they would get back there, and maybe an SCV would run into the main. So almost like a counterintuitive technique here from Rush allowed him to scout in the main and confirm that it was Dragoon range. But this proxy robo could be very tough to deal with. I think it's basically going to be Dragoons with range firing at the bunker and probably trying to scare Terran into siege mode, and then an elevator maneuver up into the main where there's this big vacant area just to the left of where that Dragoon is. But, you know, I do feel like when these backfire, they backfire horribly.
Yeah, this is the type of situation that Snow is going to be good at, though, because we see it's a 2-factory opener, which is the most common with the gasless expansion. If Rush goes for Vulture upgrades and tries to do, like, let's call it a 3-tank pressure, which is probably the most common thing to do after a gasless expansion, Snow is going to be able to counter harass with the Reaver before the attack hits him. Okay, because this is timed out like very tightly. But there is an eBay. If he's and I believe he's going siege right now. If he goes siege and just makes a few turrets, it should be advantage towards Rush. But if he tries to attack, it should be advantage towards Snow.
It almost looks like Snow's going to try to wall off in his main that little thin area that connects the big opening at the top of his base with the bottom. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm very interested if he decides to go for that. You know, the way that players are going to try to handle these large open areas where they a lot of times can't even see everything inside their entire plateau that they're on is pretty interesting.
That is a really well-timed turret right there. I like how this is looking right at this moment for Rush. Not that Snow's position is like terrible or anything. A couple Vultures will sneak out. Oh my god, he's going to scout the Robo right away.
Oh my god, he's going to block this with the Zealots.
Yeah, this is actually completely okay. Like, just put as much damage on the Zealots as you possibly can here. But he sees exactly the timing and the plan of Snow. So he can just build a few more missile turrets, lay some good mines down, and you can't imagine this Reaver doing anything.
Oh, oops. He's going to eat a mine shot. The Vultures are going to try to come down from the side. This is like a perfectly placed turret. He can unload the Reaver. He can try to take some shots onto the tanks. He needs to get rid of the turret on the side here. He needs to try to gain access a little bit deeper in here. The Vultures are going to get in, and I think they might be able to get into the main. No, a really good block over there. He's going to deny that.
He's getting a very good amount of probes, though. He does pick off like 3 probes, 4 probes maybe. And he has built a secondary turret back here. He is probably going to need even a 3rd turret, and Snow does a great job of splitting that 1 tank off. That is brutal. And look at this. He targets down the turret really, really quickly. He's picked off yet another siege tank. Dude, this is why Snow is so scary. Everything looked good for Rush. Most Terrans would feel very comfortable there against Reaver, but he breaks down the front door.
I'm learning so much just watching this. The fact that he knew to target the SCVs over there instead of the tank in the back, and then basically thin that out so the Zealots could charge in. And again, I mean, this is the best Reaver user in the world. Like, he does stuff we just don't see other players ever get away with. His decision-making, even on just where to send the shuttle. Like, he could have gone to the natural, he could have gone forward. He's trying to figure out, okay, where's the best move? He can try to come in here once more. He goes for the SCVs, and I think this is going to dud.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very good pull there from Rush. I gotta tell you, Tasteless, this is a weird feeling to me. I'm actually getting chills from how good he's doing with this Reaver, and I want it to fail so badly so that Rush can make it to the round of 8. But like, unbelievable watching it. Dude, there's layers of turrets. You know, he's got mines at the front. He's got tanks. You know, his siege mode, of course, finished a little bit later. But the fact that he's pushing through 2 turrets, forcing the tanks to split by utilizing ground units, everything about it was really good. I think the only thing Rush could have done better is instead of having a bunch of mines in the front, because he laid like 4 mines in the front or so, he should have had a couple in his main base so that moves like what Snow did there could backfire. So I think just a tiny mistake from Rush, and Snow instantly capitalizes. And Snow's ahead here. Snow's ahead here. This looks good for him. He's got a bunch of gates. He's getting his 3rd base. He's got the Reaver flying around. The game, of course, isn't over, but he got some solid damage, and he should be happy with how this has gone so far.
Yeah, he's getting his gateways up now. You know, there's still a little bit of a weak area over here inside the main. You know, he could come up to the top right side and try to get some damage off over there. The Vultures are going to run around. I'm not sure if there's a block down here or not. It looks like the Observer is really interested in seeing if there's going to be, you know, anything That's going to, mine-wise, it's going to hit those Dragoons. Now he comes back up here, and this is, fundamentally what is challenging for players in their main bases on here, is that it's so hard to protect all of that. So he takes the depot out, he backs up, just in case Goliaths were barreling towards that position. They weren't, by the way. And he might even try to come in here for another double drop. I think shuttle speed should be done. We have no way of knowing if that's been upgraded, but a lot of times, especially on a map like this, it only makes sense to get shuttle speed.
It'd be amazing to see Snow not get shuttle speed. It's just like an upgrade that works so well with the style. And there it is. He does have it now. Double shuttle going to be diving in. There's no spider mines up here, which is an issue. He does take 3 shots from that turret before unloading his Reavers to take it out. That died in 1 volley, so I think he has the plus Reaver attack, but not entirely sure. Maybe that had taken damage before, but yeah, the Reaver's now pushing in. Dude, the Zealots coming out and tanking some shots here. So well done. And of course, he picks up the Reavers really well. Dude, his micro is just unbelievable.
It's crazy, man. Now, eventually Terran kills this off, and you don't really want to trade a Reaver for a tank. I mean, always killing a tank is good, but the Reaver, you just want to keep that alive for as long as humanly possible. He killed some Goliaths, SCVs. He did a lot of damage, and he kept one... he kept both shuttles alive here, so he can recycle this again and try to get back over here. It's going to be fairly easy for Protoss to stop Terran from taking 12, but the base down here is really the most important one, because Terran wants to try to force their way up here in Turtle, and speed shuttle play is so strong here.
Yeah, it makes it really, really tough for Rush. Now, Rush hasn't started a 3rd command center yet. He may actually be planning, because there's been so many trades, to try to do an attack. I don't think that will end up working in this case. The Citadel's been up for a while, and I don't think he can move out before there's a lot of speed zealots ready, even though he has like an okay factory count here at 6. But yeah, I actually missed as they went over the Scarab thing if there was plus damage there. But anyways, the Vulture goes into that 3rd base, going to get a little bit of harassment. I think Rush is going to set up a 3rd. If he attacks here, I just can't see him winning.
Is he on 7 factories?
He's on 6.
He is.
He's on 6.
Okay. Yeah, because I think if you're on 7, you're just not expanding.
Yeah.
6, you can kind of try to push out. I think he's not going to try to expo here. I think he's going to try to take a fight. This is going to be tough. I mean, speed shuttles, when used correctly, especially when you're very tank heavy, even a couple Goliaths, I mean, that helps a little bit, but all you have to do is get on top of the tanks, and that's what we're going to see here right now. He's going to continue to unload these Zealots over here. He's looking for an opportunity to try to just get one Reaver out. He gets it out. He unloads it again. Oh, my God. These shots are going to be insane. He completely wipes that army.
Yeah, this is not looking super great here for Rush. He's lost so many siege tanks. And Snow's taken his 4th base during this. Just absolute mastery of the matchup from Snow. I really, the 5 and 6 pack plays are not working that well anymore, and the fact that he has really gone for this, like, the thing is, he kills a lot of Snow's army, but this is always better for Protoss. At this stage in the game, to wipe the tanks is a Protoss advantage 99 times out of 100, and this time included in those 99.
It's especially hard if you lose all your tanks and Vultures and you have to start over again, and they still have Reaver tech they're using.
Yeah.
Because Vultures just get exploded by Reavers. They're just not good. And eventually extra shuttles, and this was basically double shuttle. We lost the Robo at the proxied location, but he has so many different ways to come through here now and clobber tanks and take them out. And Terrans basically had to recede all the way back to where they started out in their main. So, I mean, I think this map, it's easier to expand to certain locations next to you than other maps, but, with the shuttle play, I think it's just as easy for Protoss to immediately come reclaim that.
They definitely can bust positions really quickly. You have to be turtled really quite well, but even that doesn't stop all the damage that can occur from these drops. Rush is getting his 3rd command center. It's almost done, but of course this is like a very, very late 3rd. This is like, oh, everything else has failed. I have to make a 3rd base type situation. And unfortunately, like you can see Snow, he's already got that advantage from clearing everything before, and he just immediately charges in here, getting some pretty decent Scarabs, and he's going to clear so many tanks again. And resetting that tank account over and over is just death for Terran.
I feel like he fires faster than other Protosses. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's just like, is there like a way that you can make the Reaver fire a little bit quicker? Like he just gets these shots off. And, you know, it's funny. I think like a lot of people who started playing StarCraft way back in the day, in my head, I was always like, well, you drop on top of the tanks, right? And you know, usually it was Zealots, but you could do it with a Reaver. The tank can't hit what's in front of it, and then the Reaver gets a shot off, you know, with everything around that area. But he's so good at this technique of basically running in with the Dragoons and Zealots, and as the tank fires, he unloads the Reaver, shoots a shot, and picks it up, because he knows he can drop a Reaver, fire, and pick it up in between a siege tank shot.
Yeah.
Which is just, it's very hard to do. I mean, if you're not fast, you drop too soon or you pick up too late, you lose the Reaver. But he's so good at this that he can basically fire these Scarab shots in here and take exchanges and push through Terran, you know, sieged up positions so well.
And yeah, it's just, it's so masterfully done. To watch Snow do it is, you know, just awe-inducing. Really, no one quite functions the Reaver like he does. And, you know, he's so far ahead at this point, he's just going to run over Rush. Like, this same exact thing is going to happen over and over, where Snow just comes up and aggressively trades, and he's just expanding during this. He's playing basically a perfect PvT. You know, it's so funny to watch this, because I think that Rush really only made one tiny mistake and one decent-sized mistake, and Snow makes it look so one-sided. Rush got a great opener there. You know, I think he should have had some mines in his main base to counteract the Reaver play. I think that was the small mistake he made at the beginning, which allowed Snow to get some damage. But attacking, as soon as he saw that first Speed Zealot come up, like, that's how Protoss holds. If they have Zealot legs, you should just cancel the push. It just, the win rate of the push goes so far down once Zealot legs are done, and especially against Snow, who's just going to manhandle you with the Reavers.
Picture of Snow.
Such a troll, man.
It's also the silhouette of a Reaver. You can just blank this out.
He makes great shadow puppets of Reavers.
Yes, yes. This is, yeah, this I guess was probably the most punishing move of all here.
This just doesn't
look,
work.
I love this. He unloads. He's very careful, and he has two Reavers in here. But watch what he does. He waits for the shot, picks up, then he unloads again. He doesn't, you know, just try to always unload two if he doesn't think he can get the shot off. And these Reavers are just getting such an absurd amount of damage. And the moment that they get targeted, he picks up, and the tanks reset back onto a Dragoon. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to imagine Snow ever losing PvP.
Yeah,
there.
it is.
Guys, we got a short break. Coming up next, a ZVP. It's going to be Hero versus Mini. We'll be right back.
우주급 텐션, 지구의 도킹, 핫식스 도킹.
right, guys, let's get into this PvZ. Snow already with a dominating performance, a reminder of why he is the greatest PvT player in the 25-year history of StarCraft 1. Today is no exception. But now we're going to switch matchups and obviously switch players. Hero versus Mini. Artosis, I almost feel like Hero might be slightly favored here. What do you think?
Yeah, I favor Hero against probably everyone in the world. Like, maybe there's some ZVZ matchups that I wouldn't do that, but like, yeah, Hero is the guy. You know, that being said, this is the perfect matchup for Mini in a best of one, because you know when we're like, oh, I don't know if he should be taking this risk in a best of one in the round of 24, you know, and he'll be playing someone that he's much better than, clearly. He is perfectly suited for a best of one against Hero, Sulky, you know, players like that, where he can predict what they're going to do reasonably well and bring something that is unbelievably dangerous to go after them.
Yeah, Mini is a very crafty player, very abusive player. He's very hard to predict, but I think just going for a very conservative build order isn't going to help you a lot, if that makes sense. You know, a lot of the players that are unpredictable and could be cheesy or could be weird, there's a way to kind of play guarded and do kind of low-risk taking openers and be safe, but I feel like he's so good at cutting corners and so creative, it's just hard to know what kind of game you're going to get yourself into.
Yeah, he's he is so unpredictable. He's like predictably unpredictable, and you know he's going to take some sort of risk. Honestly, I think you should generally play kind of aggressive against Mini. But anyways, we're going to get into Metropolis here. Best of one, Hero versus Mini.
Okay, cross spawns here. Hero in the very bottom left, and Mini here in the top right.
I gotta point this out right now. They had that stat at the beginning. This is season 19 of ASL. So out of 18 ASLs that have happened, Hero was in the finals twice and the round of 4 5 times. 7 out of 18 he's had a seat in ASL. That is unbelievable. That is unbelievable. That is like, what is that, 40% or something? That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, he's just been so consistent. From the day we came back to StarCraft 1 all the way up to now, he's just always a threat. You know, Flash saying that he was maybe the smartest player at times, you know, that he talks to.
Yeah.
You know, he's really, really scary, and I think he knows how to approach the game in a way that is safe for him. You know, when he's aggressive, it looks like it's always the right move. When he's conservative or cheesy, it always looks like the right move. Anyways, Mini's going to go for a gateway expanded. He's not scouting after the gateway.
Love it. I don't know why he's doing that, but I just love that it's something different.
Yeah, we're like, this is a moment in our cast where we're like, oh, we don't know what he's doing, but it's so good. I promise you guys that. He's so smart for not scouting. And he still hasn't scouted. I believe the pylon started to. I mean, the second pylon, of course. But a blind gateway first. I think I've literally never cast this before.
That's crazy. That's
Have
very
you seen
exciting.
This before? I don't.
No, I haven't seen it with no scout. And this is funny because, like, you know, I cast like a ton for my casting channel on YouTube and stuff, and like sometimes there'll be something different, like they don't scout or they scout earlier, and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, I haven't seen this. And people make fun of that, but it's like, no, guys, this actually makes a huge difference. He doesn't know where Hero's at. Okay, he does not know where Hero's base is, and he's gonna make a zealot. So what do you do? What do you do with the zealot? There could be lings on the way.
I don't know.
Hero could have 7 hatcheries.
Scout
like
with the zealot.
Oh,
How
man.
does this make any sense?
He
keeps it out in front. This is so interesting. This is like we're actually seeing the whole matchup change right now. So just to be clear, before this game picks up, Gateway expands. You know, they were popularized I don't know exactly when, because we were casting StarCraft 2, but we came back, we saw these crazy gateway expands, and they let you control the game because you could rush your opponent, you could hide zealots. But in this case, he doesn't care what he's up against. He has one zealot out in the front, he keeps a second one in the back. Now, you do this normally in a very defensive posture, but think of how many more probes he's getting because and workers and everything because he can't be, like, rushed. Or, you know, he isn't rushing or scouting with a probe. So he just basically has enough to hold this. Thank God it wasn't a 9-pull, but then again, I guess people don't really 9-pull speed Ling anymore in pro matches.
Yeah, sorry.
No, go ahead, please.
I just wanted to mention the place he stood the Zealot. I feel like you might be able to see the angle the Lings come in from. Like, you know, are they coming from the left, the bottom right, or the bottom left? Well, I guess we'll see as he's moving Zealots down. But yeah, anyways, to what you were saying, and yeah, he is actually going in the right direction. It looks like he knows exactly where the third should be, and he's just going to it. Even one worker, guys, makes a huge difference in your economy at this level. And we talked about it, I think, yesterday, about how Mini actually plays in single player and gets unbelievably optimized builds, and this is one of those.
I've just never quite seen this build. Actually, I shouldn't say the build, the concept behind it.
Yeah.
We've seen Gateway expands all the time, but he's just powered up so many more workers. He knows he can run behind and basically plug this up with 2 Zealots and make it very uncomfortable. Now, Hero has gone for Hydras, probably for a bust up here. Unsurprisingly, anytime the game gets chaotic, a lot of Zergs like to just go for the Hydra bust and try to punish. Mini did go for gas before Forge. He's actually accumulated a decent amount of gas.
Tasteless?
And I'm very... Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to ask you some questions here because we literally talked,
please.
I think, yesterday about how important it is to keep the probe alive and scout what's going on so you know if 3-hatch Hydra's coming or whatever. He literally hasn't scouted the probe still. He hasn't even attempted to check tech. He's playing the only thing he knows is that there are at least 2 drones and 8 Zerglings on the map right now in this hatchery. That's literally all of his information. Like, how do you do this and counter the Hydra bust that's coming? Does he just have this optimized so well? He has a Robo coming, Tasteless. He's gonna go Reaver. Oh my God, Tasteless, Reaver Corsair. You gotta stream some StarCraft so people can tell you to hold Hydra bust with Reavers, because that's exactly what we're gonna watch.
This is wild. Blind Reaver tech. Now, he's going to see the first Hydra hatch, so he knows what he's up against. I don't know if he wants to send his Zealots away. I'm not talking about the ones on screen here, but the ones on the mini-map that are southbound. He's basically buying time there. But yeah, I mean, he didn't know if this was going to be Mutas necessarily or what. He does have a Corsair that's coming across the map. And I guess there's no Sunken Colony here, so these Zealots are going to do a decent amount of damage, and maybe he can even try to transfer some of this damage onto the drones like he's doing right now.
Oh my God, you got 2 drones during this. He's scouted everything at this point. He can add his cannons. He's gonna get into Reaver. I just don't even know what to say. It's just such a wild, different situation from anything I'm used to watching.
And, you know, he's using the Corsairs to kill the Overlords, because he doesn't need to scout, because the Zealots basically spotted the Hydralisk for him, so he can start to get Overlord kills. Hero's supply block, by the way, which I don't think I've ever seen in any of his games in the last 19 seasons of ASL. That really just doesn't happen to him in these kind of situations, but it's happened here now. The Hydras will come up, and I think that Mini should be fine. He went with a traditional block, but I think there's just enough cannons. Far away enough that he should be okay.
Yeah.
He did go for shuttled before Reaver. So there's a Reaver that's started right now, presumably. The Forge is going to go down. And he even actually snuck one Zealot over here, so he can get a kill on this drone.
That's wild. He's already hurt the economy so much.
He doesn't have a pylon covering all this. There's actually only one pylon kind of far in the back, but if he shot the pylon in the front, I think the rest of the cannons would be unpowered enough it could be fatal.
Oh, that would be hilarious.
Yeah.
We never see that in StarCraft 1. The pylons have much more health than the StarCraft 2 pylons. Targeting them down is almost never correct. But maybe in this case it could be.
Yeah, they changed the pylons in StarCraft 2 to be a lot more squishy. They can be popped like balloons, you know, if people get in there fast enough. In StarCraft 1, I think they were aware that could be really hard to fight, and you know maybe it would break their game, so they took a different route and made them a little bit more tanky.
The warp.
You do have games where people unpower them.
Yeah. Pretty rare in StarCraft 1, though. Now, he has the shuttle, and he's sending his first Reaver out. This is insane to watch. I can't believe he's bringing something so new here against Hero in a best of 1. But this looks strong,
Fast
man.
Expand.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've seen Fast Expand where you do a surprise Reaver play and kind of try to almost sucker punch the Zerg with it, yeah, especially against Hydra Tech. But, you know, Hero, he should know to get Burrow versus this. He should know to basically just play defensively. When you go for this kind of Reaver tech, you really don't have, you know, anywhere near as much to work with as far, you know, because the Templars are so far away. And, I mean, he can't really pick this up now. Yeah, he snipes that. And this, you know, there's a reason why Reaver isn't the default and why Templar tech is, you know. If this was easy to do or necessarily extremely strong, we just always see Reavers every game, and we'd be losing our minds when Mini went for Templars or DTs early on. So, I mean, I'm still very impressed with the opening from Mini, the blind play, you know, basically sending the Zealot out on the map to just sort of see where the Lings come from and confirming that they're going to be from that angle and playing a game from there. But, I mean, this is still such a different approach for Mini.
It's really exciting to see. Like, you know, it feels like he kind of blundered the Reaver. Like, that definitely did not give the value he was looking for. Maybe it would have been better to just pull back at that point. But here's another one, and we'll see what he can get done. I think, you know, with shuttle speed, you can just always escape if you're being smart about it. And that's, you know, he's going back. And this is more what I wanted to see, is just kind of like grinding the Hydras down a little bit, right? 15 minerals for a Scarab, and you just take out a Hydra with each one.
Yeah, with shuttle speed, if you're good, you can basically shoot, pick up the Reaver, and then run away and fire again. And it's almost impossible to pursue, because you'll just always get shots off. Exactly what he's doing here. It's so hard to deal with. He's also got the Corsairs out on the map. Looks like he's going to go for the eggs here. This is a lot of Corsairs, man. You know, it's funny. You don't oftentimes see when there's been a Hydra opening and no very fast layer. You don't see lots of Corsairs made, but this is a game where he did make a lot. So these Hydras really have to respect the Corsairs and go back and cover those Overlords, because 6 or 7 Corsairs can obliterate all your Overlords, especially when they're stacked up at the natural, which is where they're always at in this phase of the game.
Well, he's going to drop a Reaver here into the back of the natural and get an insanely good Scarab there, and he's going to kill the Scourge as well. Oh my God, so well done. Mini is getting really far ahead, it feels like, with this right now.
You know, now that I am reminded of the main and the position of the natural, I'm kind of going, oh, that's why he went for Reaver, because this is just a really abusable map with Reavers. You know, it's not a little tiny, narrow natural like you'd see on Fighting Spirit, for instance. Like, there's this whole big space back here that you can kind of run behind, take pot shots, and then leave. And look at this. He's going to kill some Overlords. He's kind of running in circles around Hero. And we have the Templar tech up. So while Mini's doing all this, he is going to power up onto 2 very strong, robust bases. He could take a third. He could go for a push. We don't really know. He's going to show us that in a second.
It looks like he's going into Storm here. He's got Templar Archives. He's banked up an unbelievable amount of gas, and he's like taking a third base. It's hard for me to imagine Mini losing from here. His Reaver play is doing fantastically. Yeah. He's slowing Hero down a lot. Hero sends Hydras across the map and delays the third base, or denies the third base of Mini, which, yeah, great to see. But how are you actually going to deal with this when he walks out with an army that has Psystorm in it as well?
That's the big question. You know, you're supposed to burrow Hydralisks and basically pop them out when the Reaver comes in there. So there's no way to you know, check the ground and figure out if you're safe or not. The shuttle eventually goes down. He does have 2 Reavers and probably 1 shuttle remade already. Yeah, back at home like that. So that when it's time for the push, he can do the same thing. And this push, by the way, is going to look a lot like the stuff that Snow did to Rush, where he, you know, unloads the Reavers, fires shots, pushes in with the Zealots and the Corsairs, and keeps going.
It's so awesome to see the completely different styles of top Protosses. Rain refuses to make Reaver no matter how late the game goes, and Mini makes them at the beginning of the game. All right, let's go. Completely different PVZs here. A lot of speed Zealots going into this third base. Dude, this is going to be... This isn't even going to end with a bang, I think. It's going to be a whimper from Hero. He's just taking so much damage everywhere. What do you do? He's out of position at every moment.
Yeah, he's got to pick up that Reaver. He does. He keeps that alive. If he can keep the juggling going, he's going to be fine. You know, a Hydra range here is just not going to cut it. He's going to try to come in from another side. If your God tier is Zerg, you wait until the 5th Scarab or 6th Scarab shot, because then they're in reloading mode.
Yeah.
And that's when they start to be stifled. Now, the mutas are going to be out, but I mean, there's Corsairs here. And, you know, Reavers and Shuttles, they can actually tank a lot of hits from the mutas. So they can basically ignore them for a little bit. Now, the Shuttle's been shot down, and Mini's going to try to come in here and basically punch Hero in the nose, try to come in and do some serious damage. There's a lot of drones back here. Hydras. There's an Evo chamber that he can target. Can he get a shot off in here? I think the Zealots might just block it enough. He isn't able to do it.
This is the craziest thing I've ever seen. This is so
Oh my
one-sided.
God, he killed 3 hatches.
Dude,
He killed 3 hatches.
Yeah, he killed 3
I don't know.
hatches, the drones.
It was like I was aware during the fight that was going to go down. That's half the Zerg's production. So now he's got to push, finally. I'm also very intrigued that he just sent Zealots, Corsairs, and a Reaver out and kind of stayed back and banked Dragoons. And I'm sure he's getting High Templars. Yeah, there's
he has
one I
High
saw
Templars.
at the
He
right
has them.
corner
Yeah.
here.
Like, this is just not going to end well. Hero's going to GG pretty soon, I think. Like, this game is over, man. 67 supply to 146. Mini setting up an additional base. He has completely dominated this with a scoutless build where he countered the most scary rush in the game easily. Oh my God, so one-sided.
I have never seen Hero get thrashed like that.
Never.
And by the way, I've never casted a Gateway first, no scout with a pro build. I've never seen that.
Look at the smile.
I've never seen that, man. I can't. I have learned so much from watching that.
Tasteless. Here's the thing. Here's the thing I'm worried about. What you've learned today. If you try to do this on the ladder, it's not going to go the same that we just
It's going to
saw.
go very badly.
Yeah.
No, this is. Don't try this at home, kids. All right, that game should come with a disclaimer. All right. The difficulty at doing that, and the part of it is that you don't know what's coming at you. So you're playing blind versus so many different types of openings, and that was also a Hydra bust, by the way.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, he also held it first, the Hydra bust, but I guess you probably have enough extra minerals. Maybe you can get the extra cannons out in time. Just a different way of viewing the game. Instead of being on top of the Zerg, trying to see everything they're doing and counter it and you know, toy with them, you're just staying back and using the minimum amount of information to intuit how the game should go and what alterations in your play you should have.
Wow. We're going to go to a quick commercial break. When we come back, Protoss versus Protoss, Snow versus Mini.
안정돼서 먹었어 더 안 되는데. 시작하겠습니다. 아 그냥 못했어. 제발. 이재용 선수보다 잘했으니까 만족해요. 제가 16강 조가 좋았던 적이 없는데 그렇다고 해서 떨어진다는 생각은 어려운 거여서 다행히 풀어서 8강 또 가고 이번에는 또 결승만 했었고 잘하는 사람들이 많아서 저도 재밌을 것 같고 저도 기대가 많이 되는데 이번 주에도 잘해가지고 8강 또 진출하도록 하겠습니다.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm so excited for this PvP. I know mirror matchups always, you know, they're maybe considered the least hype out of all the matchups in RTS games, but how can you not be totally pumped for these two to duke it out?
You know, it's a great match. I'm actually really looking forward as well to seeing what maps are, because I feel like, you know, in ZVZ, when you have different maps, I don't feel like you really get that much of a different play. Like a little bit, of course. TVT, kind of the same, where it's like, okay, yeah, there's a little bit of a difference, but in PvP, like the ease of getting the natural or the third base makes a huge, huge difference. And of course, Dominator to start. That's what I was going towards. Rock, paper, scissors, tasteless. Which one do you take?
You know the answer, Toast. We
Rock.
solved this a long time ago. It's rock every time.
Rock every time. So who's going to go 3-gate? We will see. It's time for rock, paper, scissors on Dominator.
Snow in the top left, and Mini in the center right. By the way, guys, we used to cast ASL out of the studio, and one day they pulled us in and said, we're not getting enough viewership. We're going to just cut this part off. We're making the company smaller, basically, to save money. And we lost our jobs. But we decided, why not try to put this on Patreon? They can send us the clean feed. We can cast it from here. And we've been doing it ever since, thanks to you guys.
Yeah.
So please consider going to patreon.com/ASL English and supporting our endeavor to keep the oldest, best esport alive.
It's such an important thing, and we really do thank you guys who have been members of that Patreon for a long time. To allow us to do this and continue to cast ASL is absolutely amazing. You know, Brood War is in such a good spot right now. It's insane. Like, it's big, big, big in Korea. Everyone's doing really well with it. And it's growing outside of Korea as well. We have more people playing now. You know, we have a ton of casting going on. And, you know, tournaments and stuff as well. It's just, it's a great time.
Yeah, it really is. It's cool to see people picking up the game. You know, there's a point where, you know, when a game's out for a couple years, there's always this hysteria about like, oh, the game's getting older. Is the scene going to die? And it does feel like you passed this threshold when the game has aged well, where it's like, no, it's just going to be played like Smash Melee.
Yes. And we're definitely in that case with Brood War. Like, this game is 27 now, I want to say. 26 or 27 years old.
26, I think.
Okay.
26, yeah.
And it's just like, I mean, it's thriving. And in fact, you know, we're going through this kind of hard time with StarCraft 2 right now, and Brood War is just unaffected by anything because it has zero to do with the publisher. You know, like ASL, obviously that's amazing that Soup puts this on. But even without ASL, like, there's still, like, other leagues going on, but ASL is such an important, integral part of this.
Well, I think it's also a nod to the history of StarCraft being put on TV in, like, 1999, basically. You know, and of the game coming on and people, getting around the couch and watching it together, like you would a football game, or a UFC match or something like that. And so there'll always be tournaments online, or LANs you can go to, but there's something special about a seasonal system like this. A little bit like a Netflix season, where you get to watch, let's say, how many days is an ASL? Is it like 13
15,
or something
16?
like that?
I think it's
15, 16 days.
6 plus 4 plus 4 plus 1. So 15 days. Okay. Yeah.
So, but it's it's nice to kind of tune in, follow a part of a story, and then come back later and pick it up, and eventually you have the best player, you have a champion. So in this game, we'd had it was impossible for Mini to scout Snow. Snow did get inside of Mini's base and look around. Nobody had any kind of alarming techs that you could find. They were both going for Dragoon range. Mini will probably have to play slightly more conservatively because he doesn't know what Snow is teching to. There's always the possibility that Snow had like a Citadel making there. In fact, he does not. He's going for a Robo instead.
They're both going Robo. So that's going to give us, like, most likely an even position here. So what I was talking about with rock, paper, scissors before, guys, is because there is a reverse ramp, where you have high ground outside the main base, that makes 3-gate Goon outstandingly strong. Like, if you just go 3 Gateway Dragoon, you can push in and hold the top of the ramp, and it's really hard to push up a ramp. And so what kills 3-gate Goon for free? It's Dark Templar. And what kills Dark Templar? It's Quick Observer. What kills Quick Observer? More Goons than you have. So this map, because we've had different versions of this map in the past as well, basically anything with the low ground main base has been historically kind of a rock, paper, scissors type situation. But there are middle-of-the-road builds. Like we see here from Mini, he's going Observer 3-gate.
Right. Observer 3-gate's very safe. And, you don't die to their 3-gate, and you still have your Robo-Tech. He probably won't be getting a shuttle and Reavers here. Snow is going for the everything build here, where he's got gateways, he's got a Robo-Tech. He could expand, or he could go for a shuttle Reaver here. There's also a build where you can just go for blind Reaver, and that can be extremely powerful, especially on maps where you start out in low ground, because if they get a shuttle and Reaver onto your high ground, it's so hard to reclaim.
It's how do you even push up? Because you can always just pick up the Reaver against Reaver shots. If you lose that high ground, it's really, really devastating, which is why the very fast 3-gate builds sometimes can counter these builds that we're seeing from Mini and Snow, but they're both doing it. They're both trying to be kind of active with their units out front, kind of poking, seeing what's going on. So Mini's going much heavier into the gateway units, and Snow is going into the Reaver. In these positions, because the Robo slowed Mini down a bit, I think that Snow's build is just a bit better. What do you would say?
I think they're both pretty good. Dragoon Observer is very strong in that it can actually fight everything when it's 3-gate. Like, you can even fight Reaver build if you want, and you can always tech into a later Reaver if you want. It's got a lot of flexibility to it. Now, this game, it's Snow getting ready for an expansion up here. I think Mini could just run up here and kill this, right? I mean, doesn't he have like 2 or 3 more Dragoons?
Well, there is a Reaver coming out, so if you get some really good Reaver shots, maybe that can make the difference, but definitely Mini has a bigger army at the moment. He hasn't started yet with that Nexus, but he does make a very good arc here, which is really, really important. The arc is going to make him shoot everything all at once, so it's really hard to go in and actually engage as Mini. And the Zealot counts are actually really important. Like, if Mini goes in, the Zealot will lead to eat the first Scarab, but of course, Snow has a couple Zealots in there as well, and Zealots tank better and deal damage quicker than Dragoons.
Yeah, having one Zealot in a mix with the Dragoons is really good. It draws a lot of fire away. He's going to fly in here with this Observer, and it will be picked off. And right now, nobody is confident in expanding here. Like, Snow's going to basically kind of lean into the position. He's got, oh. Can Snow get this Observer away? I think he has to go in a straight line, and he will be okay. Yeah, very nice move.
Yeah. It's funny. It's like the other observers simply cannot catch it. As long as you go in a straight line,
Yeah.
you don't lose any of that speed, I guess. Okay, so Snow has moved forward with his secondary Reaver. I think Mini has to move back, and he's making a Nexus. I think that's the perfect play for Mini. Like, you have to make the Nexus here because your opponent is getting a more cost-efficient army. So he could probably go back to his own high ground and just make it really hard for Snow to push. But the back of his main is facing towards Snow. So Snow has a lot of potential here with the Reavers, where he can either threaten the push with the Reavers or threaten a counter drop.
Yeah, Snow, I think, is thinking about pushing here. And Mini's basically going to try to take a fight over here. And I think that's just one Reaver in there. Maybe there's a second one. He didn't drop it. Okay, good targeting on the shuttle, but it only takes shield damage. And Mini is, I think, more interested in basically blockading this push. I don't think he's going to try to push it himself. He's trying to just drive this away. Because what Artosis was saying earlier is 100% right. Like, this main is huge on the side over here. And if you get a shuttle in there and start to drop and hit Reavers and then pull out, you could probably push into the expansion. So both sides are going to get their Reavers up. A lot of times in games like this, it's hard to tech past Reaver tech. Especially on this map where you have this big main that's in low ground because it's very droppable. So we may see a Dragoon Reaver dogfight that goes on for a long time.
When I've seen a lot of PvPs where they do stay on Reaver for quite some time, and it always feels to me like, okay, the first two Reavers get microed magnificently, the next two less so, and anything beyond that is just nothingness as far as micro goes. So I just wonder is Snow just like considerably better at using multiple shuttles of Reavers, or does he drop off like everyone else as well?
I mean, we're going to see, I guess, if he decides to go that route. I think what's more important is that, if there's maps where you can find lots of openings like that, it could be extremely good. Oh, kind of miscontrolled here by Mini.
Oh my
He's
god,
gonna drop again.
The flank from Mini is huge, and he actually gets the Reaver there, the shuttle rather. And his Reaver's getting some good shots, but Snow seems like he has enough. I think he's just gonna hold this. Dude, I thought for a second there, I'm like, damn, Mini is such a tactical genius. And maybe he is, but yeah, he has to.
Whoa!
He has to GG there. Unfortunately, he lost too much.
Yeah.
Man, that was a kind of a sudden GG as well. It felt like.
I think he just kind of, Reaver Dragoon interactions with each other, they're really frustrating because things move slow. You're moving these extremely slow, powerful units that can really be microed perfectly, by the way. But it's a little bit of a micro poker game. Like, oh man, Mini is so distraught.
He is unhappy with that.
I think he didn't need to do that. I think what you want to do back there is go for shuttle speed and start trying to take pot shots at him. He had the pressure on him. I think he could have looked for shots to kill Dragoons, picked up, run back, kept doing that over and over. But I think he pushed too far.
Well, obviously he did because he had to GG right afterwards. Great defensive plays there from Snow. Didn't even have to attack that game, just kind of blocked everything Mini was up to. But that's the one map that's going to look like that. That's like, Dominator just plays kind of funny. We're going to go into Deja Vu and then Polestar if we make it there. And these maps are much more standard than Dominator for PvP.
Right. Yeah, you're really locked into Reavers when you play on that map. And, Snow just played a conservative game. He just stayed safe. He didn't do anything crazy. And an overextension from Mini was all Snow needed. I guess, there's a world where Mini could have tried to stay in there a little bit longer and do more. But anyways, guys, we're going to go into game number 2 here. Remember that the winner of this best of 3 is moving on to the second remaining spot in the round of 8.
All right, so we have Snow in the top right there, Mini in the bottom left. Deja Vu, anything in particular about this map stand out to you, Tasteless, as far as Protoss versus Protoss goes?
Well, let's say that we get a game that looks like the last one. You do have a high ground area in the middle of the map, so Dragoon Reaver versus Dragoon Reaver is pretty punishing. if they can get a contain. PvP is not really about contains a lot of times. It's more about pushes in narrow areas, but just something to look for. I think there's plenty of different ways to approach this map. Koreans pretty much don't two-gate ever at the highest level, unless it's like inside their opponent's base. Which Mini's done actually plenty of games. But most of the time it's very late scouting, one gate, gas, cybernetics core plays. So, I mean, you know, usually there's not a ton to remark about early on in PvP unless they deviate from that.
Sure. The specifically on Deja Vu, you mentioned it could be punishing because of the high ground that kind of rings the center. I know that that's kind of what early game Terran versus Terran on this map revolves around. Is if you lose that position, it's basically game over. Would you say it's similar in PvP?
No, not exactly. I mean, PvP, the funny thing is like, there's a lot of times when it's not easy for either side to attack into each other if they both have shuttles and reavers.
Yeah.
You can try to contain them heavily, but if you play a slow contain game where you just sit out there, they can try to tech into Templars. And Templar tech will beat reavers long term if you can kind of get past the threats that a reaver can create. So, like, a Psystorm just forces a shuttle and a reaver to pick up. They'll both take damage and move. At best. At worst, it just eats the whole Psystorm and can't get out, right? And 2 Psystorms will kill a reaver. But the problem is that before you get that Psystorm tech, the reavers can do a ton of damage. The reavers can also push you and kill you before you get Psystorm. So, you know, there's a lot of games where we see, you know, nothing past reaver tech, basically. But there's also games where both sides, you know, they're pretty buttoned up. There's not a real way to get much done with reavers, and it makes more sense to switch into that. Also, if you have shuttle speed, in a late game PvP, a Psystorm drop in the mineral line is basically the strongest thing there is.
Yeah.
Because probes are extremely brittle. They don't have like Scourge or like Spore Crawlers. I mean, even against Zerg, Psystorm drops are just devastating. Like, it's hard to stop it from happening. Terran, I think they've got, you know, with the siege tanks and mines and turrets, it's a little bit easier.
And don't forget the SCVs have more health. I think that's the biggest thing, so that they can eat a piece of a Psystorm and sometimes still get away. If the Psystorm hits a probe or a drone, it's basically dead. Like, it's very rare for it to get out.
If it touches it for more than a second, then it dies. Yeah, that's one of the funny things is you'll Psystorm drop Terrans, and like sometimes it doesn't feel like you got anything, and then like the second or the third drop kills everything because they were all damaged. But the extra HP on the SCVs makes a huge difference. So if we get into late game, that would definitely be something to look for here. In this game, Mini's scouting probe is being chased away. Looks like Snow's going to try to moving shot this. I'm always blown away that players are good enough to do this. I guess he actually messes it up.
Yeah, Mini is actually the first guy that I saw doing this for real. But it's become such a thing at this point that it's actually... It might end up being problematic for the balance of the game. The amount of scout denial you can get if you're really high level. I once saw Mini kill like 4 of Light's SCVs in a row, and Light just couldn't get to his base. And it was like, okay, if everyone ends up being able to do this, it's going to be bad.
I mean, get ready. We're probably a couple years away from everybody being so good at moving shot that it's just out of this world.
Yeah.
So this is the Robotech coming up here. If you want to learn PvP and you're not sure how to play it, you can always just get a Robo and then get a second gateway, excuse me, and you're basically safe versus anything. Yes, they might have expanded before you, but like you're still okay. So this is the best way to play blind PvP. Stork made this very, very common in the matchup. Other players as well, but I think Stork probably perfected this. And it's like, you're going to be fine versus everything. You can't lose. Like, fast CTs won't kill you. You won't die to a Reaper push. But you're not necessarily ahead in any way. But sometimes that's the way to play it, is to just play safe.
For sure that can be. You know, you kind of have to know who you're against. Like, if you're against a much weaker player, that's going to be the best way pretty much every time. But, you know, I can definitely make some arguments for playing a more risky style when it's, like, really a high-level player that you're against, you know? Because it's like, well, you kind of need the edge. You know, going for something middle of the road, like, if they take a risk and you don't, then they might be the ones that get that advantage. But, you know, that being said, it looks like they're both kind of going down this middle of the road type of style anyways.
Yeah, it does feel a little bit like we're going to end up in the same place. Shuttle Reaver, you know, nobody able to do that much damage to each other. Possibly both pushing into each other here. 6 Dragoons here for Mini. An Observer probably moments away from popping out. And we actually have the Observer already inbound here for Snow. So you can get an Observer, a Reaver, and a Shuttle in any order, but they are better in certain situations in certain orders. So if you're trying to like kind of just get everything out optimally and save time, it would always be Shuttle and then either Reaver or Observer, depending. Safer one would be Shuttle, Observer, Reaver. If you were like fast expanding, you might end up going like Observer, Reaver, Shuttle, right? You don't want you're trying to play super safe because you don't want to die to DTs, so you get that out and scout them. But then here's the Reaver in case a push comes. And then finally, you might even get a second Reaver, and then a Shuttle, where you're like, okay, now it's my turn to try to harass you. And the ordering here for Mini is going to be such that, you know, he's going to come out here and scout. He's setting up for a push. And Snow doing something very different. He's basically expanding and defending here. So Mini needs to get something done, or he's going to be behind.
And yeah, Snow skip that Shuttle. The reason that you always would go Shuttle first is because it takes 19 seconds for an Observatory or a Reaver or support bay to make, so like you just lose build time on the Robo. So you know, more efficient to get that Shuttle first, and that's what Mini has done. But by skipping the Shuttle, that gives Snow those extra minerals, and he has the Nexus coming up. So you know, his Shuttle comes out next. But this is gonna be a little bit rough. Like there's a Reaver here in a Shuttle already. Getting that's a nice Scarab, but he was retreating, so doesn't take the full damage, but still losing a few units here.
Hello, hello.
This looks like a push that Mini's going to be able to get some damage on.
Yeah, I do like that he's got... Oh, that was such a good dodge. He needs to get down here. Perfect. And now this is the way that Snow can stall, is they both are forced to continuously juggle. And then, you know, how can anybody advance here? Now, as this goes on, you probably can't transfer probes, but this is so taxing on both players that neither one can usually do a whole lot other than just this in this moment.
One thing
Mini's going to try...
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, you see this pylon here. This is like actually great Reaver defense, because to kill that with Scarabs, if you kill it with one Reaver with Scarabs, it costs 5 more minerals to kill it than it costs to make. So it's just like a very good defense, and obviously as you use Scarabs, you shoot quicker than you remake Scarabs too. So you have to be really careful when there's pylons out there. Though it's hilarious that pylons are the best defensive structure Protoss has. Against Reavers, against, I guess not against Zerg, but against Vultures, like, pylons are just god tier.
Yeah, it's this funny thing. If you've ever seen a pylon at the front of a base and you never see cannons there, you never see anything else, that's why. Because the pylon is basically a shot pathing battery where they're, you know, if they leave the Reaver unattended, it kind of looks around and goes, pylon, and shoots it. Because this whole game's designed so that when you leave your units alone, they kind of try to get the job done for you as best they can, and that basically screws up, you know, the loaded Scarabs in there. Now, Snow's got shuttle speed and Mini does not. Now, Snow has to be careful. If he tries to go around and harass, Mini could possibly push in here and just try to kill him.
He's set up an additional pylon out there in front as well, so these are like... They also screw up the pathing as you walk in with your Dragoons and whatnot. A few Dragoons going around. Is this for like probe snipes? Is this to just catch some Dragoons coming out? What is this 4 Dragoon set doing?
3 Dragoons one-shot a probe. So if he runs into the natural, he could kill a bunch of probes, basically without his opponent being able to do much of anything. So I think that's what's going to happen.
Looks that way.
Yeah, we're not getting a shot of it. So this is like just enough that you can like kill off the Reavers, kill off the Dragoons, and actually cause a real headache over here. So he's going to wipe out those Dragoons. He's juggling this as best he can. There it is, our pylon in the way, kind of buying time. He was hoping to move in there.
And of course, lifting up here, you're going to dodge all those Scarabs. Does get some Scarabs off here. It seems like Snow's defense is pretty solid with 3 Reavers. The 4 Dragoons that he has on the other side, you know, they've already done a little bit of damage. We see both sides supply blocked, which is kind of funny to see. But those Dragoons will now get pushed back by Mini's Dragoons coming out of his gates.
Yeah, they're not quite able to get anything done here. Mini's going to unload again. And you could see it's a really delicate interaction when they both have Reavers like this. Oh god, he has one Dragoon alive here. That's kind of funny. Woo. So, we don't have any shots of their mains. I believe they're just still locked into this tech, by the way, guys.
I think so. How do you know when to add the Citadel and Templar Archives here?
Artosis, I don't know. I
appreciate that.
I think there's a lot of games where they just kind of commit to this because it's tricky to get the tech out. I mean, we can kind of watch and see. They're not making probes, by the way. I've seen a lot of games where they just seem to like commit to all Dragoons. They stop making workers, and it becomes this big clash in the middle here. So he's going to drop over here on the side, and the Reaver is just not able to defend this in this position for Mini. And Snow has completely uplifted this spot over here where Mini was dominating. And now Snow can just back up and reposition.
Really seems like tactically Snow is a step ahead of Mini here. Like he is finding like little positions that he can move into. He's being much more active. Mini's just been trying to kind of brute force his way in, and Snow's finesse in his defense has outplayed him the entire time.
And now I don't know that Mini can get back home, but he's got to be careful. I know attention, versus Reavers with speed shuttles, and it's very punishing. Snow's, oh my god.
Dude.
Oh,
he knew he was coming
god.
there. He gets it, and now he's going to pick off that Reaver super fast. Tries to pull back. The Scarab does get a good hit, but he's going to be able to push this back as well. This feels like a very big advantage for Snow now.
Mini looked like he swallowed his tongue when that shuttle was picked off. That was crazy. Nice pickup, continuing to dodge here. Somehow, miraculously, Mini actually drives that away. That was supposed to be maybe the killing blow, where those Scarabs getting their shots off and wiping out all of those workers.
The Dragoons will go to the high ground. Looks like Snow doesn't even want to deal with that right now. I think bringing his entire army together and maybe taking the position that we saw from Mini before could be a good move here with his Reavers on the high ground. As long as he watches for that little move around that he was doing to Mini.
So he's going to do a 4 Reaver push.
Oh, there's
and
no
this
shuttle?
is a good way to end it if you really get like the supremacy of your Reavers in the game, and they're in like a narrow bottleneck like this, is you just kind of shove in. He's going to keep some of the Reavers in the back, but he'll pick those up and add those in later. You don't want to have all the Reavers at once going, because the Scarabs can just kill them all like immediately if you get a good connection. But he's basically doing a decent enough job juggling. I almost wonder if Snow could have pushed through a little bit further there. He decides to back up and take a third.
I think with the Reaver shots that Mini was getting, he actually hit the Reavers with the Scarab there as well. And, Reavers do not last that long at that point. They don't have that much health. It feels like they have more health than they do because they get microed so heavily with the shuttle. But at 180, it's like 2 Scarabs and they're gone.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, they'll get low enough that if they're exposed at all, they just get killed. So I think the most... Okay, I think he just didn't see that.
Yeah, I think so.
That did show up on the mini-map. Oh, well, he's got some Dragoons back here anyways. But, Artosis, you were talking about the whole contain thing, and, will that happen here? Well, if they're both locked in on Reavers, you can contain them like this. Nobody has tried to dive into Templar tech. In fact, I don't think anybody has a Citadel. There's no Citadel in this game. So... had one player stayed on Reavers and the other one tried to just, barrel into the Citadel tech, then I think it would be easier to break this. But right now, it's going to be 3 base versus 2, and that's kind of all you need. In fact, he's going to get another Robo Bay here.
Ooh, yeah. I can't believe he's getting a second Robo. I feel like I don't ever really see that in PvP. That's definitely more of a other matchup.
I think this is becoming more popular.
Is it?
Yeah, I think it's picked up quite a bit on maps like this where they can be exploited. It's like this is so much. You're able to be so much more active. When you get Templars and Storm, yeah, I mean you could try to get the workers, but like here, if you see 2 exposed Dragoons and you have 2 Reavers, you just one-shot it.
Yeah, he just killed 4 goons and a bunch of probes, and I think he hit 1 Scarab onto the Reavers as well. So like, he was actually behind by like 20 supply, and now he's ahead. But Snow has the 3rd base mining, and he does have a containment. So whatever Mini's doing with this shuttle's great on him. He's getting some damage. He's keeping the game competitive. But Snow still has a better position.
Oh.
Oh my god! He's getting so much damage!
you've got to imagine that the Scarab damage has been upgraded here. I don't think capacity has been upgraded yet, but it wouldn't be out of the question, right? And he could just juggle these Reavers, man. And, you know, you have to spread these Dragoons out. You have to try to protect what you can. But, like, sometimes 4 or 5 Dragoons really don't stand a chance against 3 Reavers, especially if you micromanage them at all.
Look at that. He deals so much damage. The Nexus almost falls. He gets a bunch of probes. He gets a bunch of units. Diving into the main base now. That containment from Snow is starting to look stupid.
Yeah, I mean, Mini's really getting a lot of work done here. And, you know, these pylons that you build early on occasionally force this kind of maze-like path you have to move through with your clunky Dragoons to try to find shots off. And you can basically keep juggling, keep cycling the Reavers in and out of the shuttles and get so many more kills.
Well, I think he has 2 Reavers left here. Yeah, and drops them out. And is he going to get out with this as well? Oh, absurd. Yep. Absurd. Look at how many Dragoons he has! Kill your eggs, for God's sake!
Oh, no. There's actually a technique that's happening here that I've learned a while back watching like a Snow tutorial. You actually want a chunk of your army in the main, like most of it, so that when you move out with everything, it comes in a line. You don't want it all moving at once.
So,
yeah, because it'll just all get killed.
That's a Protoss thing, is attack poorly.
It'll all run into Scarabs or Storm.
That's crazy. That kind of reminds me of how Zerg attacks sometimes, yeah.
Yep. You don't want to have everything kind of succinctly together. So that's why you have big chunks of the army in the main, is because the ramp will automatically kind of...
That's wild. That is so cool. So did Snow actually say that?
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my God, okay.
You're like, I've been good all along.
No, because in my games, I'd have them all at the natural, right? I mean, that's just like what you do. But apparently, this is like an easy way to kind of do this, and it makes it so that you're not overexposed in a fight.
That's cool. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I feel like we're at one of those like groups or something. Like, thank you for sharing your story, Tasteless. That was really interesting. No, that is
He's
a very
gonna try
cool
to surround him here.
Ooh, big Scarab onto those Reavers. Gets the shuttle as well. Mini's push that looked like it might be able to end Snow. Not going to be able to do it. GG. Snow advances in first place. The first non-Zerg player, the only non-Zerg player to win a group here in this round.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely earned it, man. He looked extremely strong.
Looked fantastic.
The best Reaver user of all time. The best PvTer of all time. Not a lot of Terrans right now in the round of 8, though, so I think this will be one of his tougher round of 8s. We'll see if Rush can manage to make it. We're going to be having Rush vs. Hero coming up next year, but...
Oh, yeah, we're going to do the round of 8 draw at the end, by the way, which is awesome.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I guess, yeah, we will actually just know. What
if
am I
Snow
saying?
gets light, I'm gonna freak taste. So Snow better not get light.
Yeah, well, we'll see. He could, man.
All right, I think we're going to go to
another great performance.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I think we're going to go to a quick interview, guys, and see what Snow's thinking of winning that group. Or not. Never mind.
Yeah.
I'm like, shut up, Tasteless. We're going to the interview.
Tasteless, enough, you megalomaniac. We have an interview.
Dude, I can't believe what Mini ended up getting done with those shuttles, and then still could not push through Snow.
No, it's pretty sick, man. It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this PvP. I wish we could have gotten one more. I thought this play here from Snow was going to be what had killed Mini, but Mini had some great defense. You know, the reality is Mini is just not as natural as Snow is moving around the map with Reavers. I mean, talk about, you know, absolute hell for Mini. The only tools he has is Dragoons and Reavers, and you're against Snow, where it's like, well, I guess the most important, best unit I have, I'm never as good with as my opponent.
Yeah, definitely an issue. Okay, here's that
Artosis,
interview.
I know you want to talk now. There's an interview coming, Artosis. Please keep it down.
You're watching Group D of the round of 16 of ASL Season 19, done in partnership with Hot 6. Let's meet today's first player advancing through. It's Snow. Congratulations. Thank you. Snow, this is your 3rd season in a row making the round of 8. During the pre-game interview, I could feel this
absence of confidence from you when it comes to the PvP mirror. But my god, were you solid and composed in the games themselves as he quickly advanced to the round of 8 light. So, how are you feeling? Let's start with, I didn't know I would be advancing like this. I thought it would not be easy, that's what I said at least. Luckily things went well, and I advanced. Your Reaver usage was very noticeable, striking in all of your matches today. How would you rate your condition today? Oh, my hands were trembling today, so it didn't go the way it should. I was so shaky. Let's say I played at maybe 60%? Oh, is that so? You said you would honestly like to avoid playing a mirror against Mini, but rather, you had a composed and solid showing in that PvP. In the first set, despite getting into a Dragoon Reaver clash, you emerged victorious. Now, you did have a good number of Reavers, but it was the positioning of those Reavers that was so good. The Reaver towards the backside paid the dividends. It was a fight that started with a shuttle being sent forward. Was that on purpose? No, my hands just wouldn't move. I actually thought I couldn't stop him, so I just said, whatever, I don't care. I hardly microed at all. I just picked the Reavers up a couple of times and it was over. I'm lucky we fought on high ground. I think that's why I beat Mini. I think luck was on my side. And in the second game, as you were constructing an army with Reavers and shuttles, you also sent 4 Dragoons around to your opponent's base. Yes, if you don't do that and lose control of the high ground, there is no way to break that. So, in whatever way, I needed to make an opening. That seemed the only option to do that. I'm glad it worked and I managed to break through. Mini, however, did not go down without a fight. Up until the end, he harassed you from the 2 o'clock to the 12 o'clock with Reavers, hoping to create an opportunity for a turnaround. Did you not feel like you were in trouble? If we were playing at home, I think I would have been able to snipe every single one of those shuttles. But here I was limping along. I should pick up every one of those shuttles. I couldn't do that. I couldn't dodge any scarabs. I seem to be struggling offline still. And with you having this experience of having journeyed to the grand finals, the pressure of playing on the ASL stage certainly, clearly, hits different. But you retain your pride as a seeded player and once again step into the round of 8. Let me tell you who can be your opponent in the round of 8. It's Light, Best, and Rain, which means there is a good chance you will play a PvP, the matchup you succeeded in today. I really don't want to play PvP. I think I would prefer going up against Light. Confidence in PvT clearly showing there from Snow. We will have to wait and see if this wish is granted when the bracket is drawn. I kind of think the fans will be hoping for the same matchup in the bracket. What do you want to say to the fans? You guys have great expectations, no doubt. But I know it won't do if I let myself feel this heavy pressure. I'll just focus on the next step, the next goal being the round of 4, just step by step, whatever is next. Right, and let me give you a chance to thank the colleagues who helped you practice as well. All right, but there were so many, I can't remember them all. I'm afraid I'll omit someone. Okay, Barracks, Speed, Bishop, Soma, and... oh, my head, I can't... Players usually have a tough time gathering their thoughts right after playing matches. I should have had my phone out. I should have done what Jadong did. And... oh, JYJ, Stalk, Motive. Wow, you really practiced a lot. Yeah, over 3 days I probably played like 150 games. Wow. I really can't remember anymore. I will write a blog post later. Sure, I'm sure they understand. Can't wait to see you perform as well in the round of 8. Once again, congratulations on advancing. Thank you. And there you have Snow, our first player advancing out of Group D today. Let's take a look at our events. We have an offline event for those watching live at the studio. Upload a photo or a video of yourself to social media from the studio and then post that as a comment under the event post. 10 people will receive power banks, and we also have 1 ASL uniform to give away. Please participate. And we also have a winners prediction event on the Soup Esports website taking place all throughout this round of 16. 4 people who guess all the winners will be receiving ASL branded MagSafe power banks as prizes. We will take a short break and come back with the losers and decider matches.
우주급 텐션 최고의 토킹 핫식스 토킹.
We're back. Hero versus Rush. This is going to be a fun one, Artosis.
Yeah.
Rush has shown some pretty brilliant TVZs. He is oftentimes able to not get oppressed by Zergs in ways that other Terrans do struggle. Even players like Light, you can kind of see get boxed around a little bit, but he's got some pretty crafty openers here that have worked out pretty well. So I'm really interested in seeing exactly how this whole game is going to pan out.
Yeah, he's got a really good range of play, and he's done well against Hero in the past, so definitely he does have a shot, but I am favoring Hero here. Deja Vu, Radiant, Eclipse. So this first map going to be really important for Rush. Let's get into it.
Okay, we've got Hero here in the top left, and Rush here in the top right. And, you know, we talk about this a lot, Artosis, but, you know, the placement of the natural and is it pointed towards the Zerg in a way where the Mutas can harass it? Now, in this matchup, I think it's very fortunate for Rush's sake that he's on the right, at the top right, and Hero's at the top left here. If it was reversed, it'd be worse for the Terran, right?
100%. It's just they can rally the Mutas so quickly to your natural and really focus on harassing there, which can be a big, big issue for Terran. You know, you just don't want to be losing SCVs. Yeah, but, you know, in these positions, this is just going to be like a pretty straightforward, kind of normal-looking game, I think. But what is Rush going to open with? It looks like he's going to open Wall, which tells us that he's probably just going to go some variant of Marine Medic. You know, if you build your depot down there right away, it's like you never go factory behind a wall in the low ground. It's just, you're stretched a little thin at that point. So this should just be like going into a barracks, going into, ooh, pool first. And I believe that's, yeah, that should be overpool then, right? Yeah.
Getting more and more popular. Yeah, that's overpool, because the overlord pops out right as the pool, you know, starts.
I was telling you that the other day. It has become more popular. It is a defensive build. Rush's build is going to hold on against this very, very easily, you know, as long as he basically sees it coming. In Hero, you don't expect a bunch of lings to be made anyways. Normally they make like 2 lings with this, unless something seems off. So I think we're going to see Rush having a little bit of an advantage, but not end of the world for Hero. And I'm not surprised he did this, because actually in my mind as we began, I was thinking, what should Rush do? And the first thing that came to mind is maybe map 1 you go 2 barracks in the center, right? And that's what this is going to catch, is if you do something like that, like any sort of 8 racks play, he's going to be able to crush it with this.
It's going to be interesting to see how much longer Zergs keep doing this, because it's not ideal. It's not ideal in normal passive games. I mean, you can kind of make it work, but you know, this very, and I think it's all come from Sulky, by the way, and the way that he's behaved and handled this. It's a